now back, and I'm talking like real XR dedication here. People joining in from the from the West Coast. So thanks, Dan, and also thanks, Christopher, for joining me today, and also sort of channeling the focus also to this year, because I mean, when we talk about XR, you see this is also, I guess, also due to hardware producers, that we mostly focus on visuals, but I mean, we as humans perceive our surrounding with all our senses. So I'm really glad you guys are joining me and talking about spatial audio, and not just only that, about your new life,
real time
spatial
real-time
audio.
spatial audio, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I give up this. I shut up now and give up the stage and the mic to you guys.
Fantastic. So yeah, I'll start with a little presentation, a little background. So today we're going to be talking about real-time streaming and spatial audio in the context of XR. So it's kind of the building blocks for immersive VR experiences. And so you've probably heard of the company I work for, Dolby. We've been around for a while. And what we've done over the last 2.5+ years or so is taken Dolby's amazing technology and start to move parts of that into the cloud. And along with today, I'll be talking a little about some of our technologies. Along with me is Christopher Lee from Odyssey, and they're one of our customers that's really taken the spatial audio APIs and really dug in and created a really beautiful immersive experience. So, so why are we here? We really want to talk about the sorts of experiences that you can build with Dolby I/O. Chris, why don't you maybe give a little background on how you found Dolby and why you're working with us?
Yeah, for sure. So Odyssey, which you can find at odyssey.stream, is a high fidelity pixel streaming metaverse platform that you can access from your web browser. While we were building out this world, we were using Unreal Engine, which, as Alina was pointing out, amazing, stunning graphics. But we realized that was half the equation. The other part of this equation was exactly what was pointed to during the introduction, which is audio immersion within these virtual environments. Our previous audio provider simply wasn't making the cut, so we reached out to Dolby, especially after we discovered their spatial audio APIs, and we just started forging a relationship. Their willingness to work super closely with their customers has led to great opportunities, and frankly, their APIs for spatial audio solve so many of our concerns about how the audio immersion should feel in a virtual world. And that's where that relationship started about 1.5 years ago at this point, and has only grown from there, especially as Dolby.io continues to add functionality such as their real-time streaming. So
yeah, so I think, Chris, that's a good point to kind of discuss what are the APIs and what do we offer, because I think developers really kind of want to know the nuts and bolts here. So we have a series of APIs, 3 of them I'm mentioning here. So the real-time communications with spatial audio, Dolby Voice, live streaming, and media processing and music mastering are APIs you can literally just capture that Dolby technology and use it in a really easy consumable form. We have multiple SDKs, that we're right at a point now where we have a ton of great customers that are using our platform. You might recognize some of the logos here. And that's kind of the testament of like what we're able to provide with that. The real-time communications, voice calls, it's with Dolby Voice, video calls, and call recording, messaging, all of that we support within the browser. These are, again, many years have gone into the APIs to make it sound great. On the live real-time streaming, we recently acquired a company called Millicast, and we've brought them in, and we have the opportunity to provide real-time streaming from either our communication stack out to other services, as well as our own WebRTC-based service that can deliver really low latent streams. We're talking 300 milliseconds or less. And, the types of applications folks are doing, obviously AR and the metaverse is what we're going to talk about today, but broadcasters are using this, remote production. During COVID, a lot of the movie studios started picking up and using our APIs just to be able to make things work in terms of real time, being able to have stakeholders on one side of the world and production companies on the other side having meetings, having rushes and dailies and so forth. Online events, gaming, sports events, these are all areas that we're making a lot of inroads in terms of new use cases for us. And of course, interactivity is the key part. On the media side, we have APIs that run asynchronously to enhance audio, to transcode video and audio files from one format to the other. And then we have a music mastering API. It's been out for a while. If you ever go to SoundCloud, for instance, when you hit master, that's actually Dolby I/O technology in the background working with that. We support about 14 different profiles to allow creators for a very low cost, like less than the cost of a latte, to be able to take their pre-mastered music and then run that through the mastering process and get it ready for distribution at places like Spotify and Apple Music and so forth. And it's all leveled out. It's pretty cool. We're also working with healthcare providers for real-time communications for your doctor's office call, for instance. And that means we have to be very secure, HIPAA compliant, SOC 2 compliant, and of course, GDPR compliant as well. So those are kind of the things. As people are tuning in, I'd love to see in the chat what folks are looking at in terms of use cases. But also, I just wanted to say, sorry, there we go. I think there's 5 things off the bat that are very different from competitors on the market. And that is, of course, the Dolby sound quality that we offer, spatial audio, and I'll dig into that in a moment. But basically, we have the ability to place audio in a 3D context within your virtual world. And by doing that, you can attach that to avatars like Odyssey's done. And you can create these social experiences that are really amazing. The ability to kind of move around and be able to have conversations in real time inside the metaverse. And in addition to that, we have another feature called shared scenes that allows us to take that experience. If you've been in a coffee shop and you're having a conversation, your brain kind of tunes out the rest of the folks, but they're in the room. And every so once in a while, there'll be a talker or someone speaking a little louder, and it kind of catches your attention. So that sort of authenticity that you feel in real life is what you can feel in the metaverse with the shared scenes. Because what we do is we figured out how to throttle the who's speaking and do separate mixes in all areas of the experience. So it it cuts down on bandwidth, which is really important. So it's very performant. It scales well. It works in both the browser and within game engines. And so it's a really unique feature that we recently released. And I mentioned Dolby I/O and Dolby Quality Sound. We have the Dolby Voice technology, and here's some examples of the raw spectrograms of the sound, and you can see all the noise that happens with raw audio capture. And if you go through most WebRTC stacks, there's still some of that noise there. What we do is we try to clean that up because we do the mixing on the server, and on clients like Chrome, we actually do some of this new voice processing and visual processing right there in the actual web client through Wasm. So some really cool, interesting things there. And I mentioned spatial audio placement. So, audio can come from any direction with our API. We can literally have it such that you can program it to place the audio where you want in the scene, above, below, in front, behind. The further away, we simulate the distance with that. And of course, spatial audio isn't just for metaverse experiences. If you've ever been on a Blue Jeans call, you'll notice that when there's 20 people in the grid, you're able to pick out that person. And that's because the spatial audio placement is literally set up for the AV congruence. So that tile, the sound, if you're wearing headphones, emanates from there. So that's pretty interesting. And of course, virtual environments. And that's, I think, a good time to toss this over to Chris. And I'm going to stop sharing, Chris.
Sure. I'll be glad to take over.
Yeah.
So I just noticed also that we had a question in the chat here from April about how do we feel about noise pollution? That seems to be a more prevalent with increased commercialization. Now you're speaking to what appears to be a real world example, but simply from what we've experienced in our metaverse build with Dolby.io, their APIs allow for such great attenuation of sound sources that we are able to really dial in how far a sound source goes. So noise pollution inside a metaverse environment can be finely controlled through the tools that they provide with their API. What you're looking now at on screen is our metaverse platform, Odyssey.stream. As I stated early on in this call, we are built on the Unreal Engine, and it's providing these stunning visuals. And also, as stated on that call, we realized that visuals were just part of the equation. The audio aspect is something that was frankly lacking until we shifted over to Dolby.io. Now, right now, I'm the only one in the environment, but as Dan was pointing out, we do use their spatial audio feature. So if other people were in this environment, conversation would occur naturally. So if I was close to someone and they were in front of me to my right, it would occur that way through their spatial audio stack. And if they happened to walk behind me, I would get that same feeling of the audio source following their avatar. And that's been incredibly important with, as we've experienced over the last 2.5 years, cognitive overload. When people are on a flat two-dimensional Zoom call, for example, it's simply hard to track and prioritize who's speaking. So the spatialization of the audio has helped immensely. One thing I do want to call out about Odyssey is while we're not strictly a VR-based metaverse platform, we are browser-based. And this speaks to a lot of the concerns we've seen in the market about ease of use and adoption. If I were to provide the Chrome URL that we're at, anybody could join this experience and start walking in and conversing. All it requires an email authentication. And then for people of a certain age or people with certain dispositions, going into a VR headset isn't ideal for them. So we're sticking with technologies they already use, which hopefully will guide the adoption of the metaverse and future technologies that will make it more accessible, such as VR and AR devices. So this is just a sample of what Odyssey is. We very much like Dolby is positioning themselves to be the APIs of sight and sound and to be the building blocks of the metaverse, we've become a platform that allows building in the metaverse as well. So I can do something as easy as bring in the Dolby logo right through our content management system, and you'll see that floats right there. And ultimately, we have a shared goal with Dolby.io in really looking to create immersive, interactive, and social experiences in the metaverse. And leaning on Dolby.io for their spatial audio and their real-time streaming has really provided us access to creating those experiences. So again, we're at Odyssey.stream. We're powered by Dolby.io. Dan, I'm going to toss it back to you.
Yeah. So, I think, recently we did an event at AWE. That's actually how we all got connected. And we had, I think, a very interesting reaction from creators out there, because there's a lot of folks interested. And time and time again, they saw the Unreal experience with the plugin. And the great news is we are going to make an official announcement about the Unity plugin that we're going to do for spatial audio. So that's happening, as well as some additional features that are coming down the line. We just released our SDK we have a beta version of our SDK that's out there. You can definitely reach back to me, and at some point in the chat, I'll put my LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out to me and or Chris. What we're looking to do there is we're releasing music mode. And what that means is right now in the spatial audio APIs, by default, Dolby Voice is on. And that means if you're doing a demo on the convention floor and it's really loud, all of that background noise goes away. But you might want to bring in a musician who's playing live into a conference. We saw that during COVID. And the amazing bit is with the new music mode, we're going to be able to selectively enhance the music. And basically, you'll be able to toggle between voice and music in the upcoming SDK. So we're looking for feedback. I think the one thing that Dolby does really well is listen to customers and interact with them. Chris, you guys had an activation recently. Do you want to speak a little bit about the world's largest brand for fast food?
First thing I do want to address is something that you just left off there, which is the customer relationship. If using Dolby.io, like Dan is on their developer relationship team, and their entire team has been incredibly supportive. I've spoken to this in the past, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with their team. And that's especially exemplified by the level of service they provided while Dan and I were at AWE in Lisbon. We had an activation for the world's largest fast food brand with 2,500 plus marketing agency employees, their internal marketing agencies, invited to an internal award show. And we had just started figuring out their real-time streaming integration into our platform. And we had a few hiccups. And our team in the US got on the phone with Dan in Portugal and had it resolved within a matter of minutes, to the point where we delivered a successful event that people are still talking about. So we've got, with Dolby.io, you not only get their amazing APIs, you get an amazing level of commitment to the customer, which has been simply amazing to experience. Like, you don't get that experience from what you would normally perceive to be a very large corporation. And you also get to really have the experience of being on the leading edge of technology, finding out about these things that they're trying to push. We have a unique use case that allows for us to push a lot of their new bleeding edge features. And of course, we get to break them, and we get to call them, and they get to fix them. So it's a really mutually symbiotic relationship that we have here with Dolby.io.
Yeah. And one thing we tried, which was a little risky on our part, we ended up doing 4.5 hours of live content, live streaming into Odyssey to showcase the feature. And I think what really surprised people is they were doing the demo. I'm going to roll some video. 1 second here. I'll go ahead and roll some video of the event. And so people we're at our booth, and we're literally live streaming from a camera on the booth. This is a little of the early setup right before the night before. And we just happened to be next to Pico, right next to the main stage. The AWE staff was really amazing. But as we're doing this, if you see in the monitor behind me, we were live streaming, and the latency was literally about 300 or so milliseconds. And that's, if you think about it, we only had 100 megabit connection, and we were able, and that was split between 2 workstations plus the video stream. So around 30 megabit a second, we were able to push that signal up to the cloud, on our live streaming platform, and that was then pulled into the real Unreal Engine, into the plugin, and play live. And I think that's, we really pride ourselves on our technology, and to be able to actually do that. Here you see there was we had a team in Tokyo. Maybe Chris, you talk a little more about that experience for them.
Yeah, so we actually had it was a very multi-city activation we ended up doing. We had a team in Tokyo speaking at the same time we were in Portugal, and they were able to join us in world for a live presentation. So they joined on the Odyssey platform, and we had an avatar-driven presentation. And thanks to our audio setup plus the spatial audio, we took an avatar, we placed it right in between the speakers, and you really got that sense of being surrounded by them, even though they were in a virtual world speaking to you. So that was a lot of fun, just bringing people in from Japan via our teams in the US to a show in Portugal, just showing how interconnected all of this technology can make the world.
Yeah, and having fireside chats with people. Mookie's coming right up after us.
I just wanted to say that.
It's just been really amazing to be able to talk to folks in the XR community and be a part of the community. We had Mookie and Vivek Agrawal came in and sang. He came in from Stanford, California. And we even had Liz Rosenthal talking about the creators there. So it's super exciting to be able to do that. And
so there's a lot of retailers
live.
How they
this
can
is
do that.
The talk Emma had
retailers are actually
with
about
Reed.
How they can even probably reframe their brand.
And so that
you
notice the lips are moving and that emotion.
So
that's a feature.
Refresh look on e-commerce.
That is so
now,
cool.
We have a lot of companies
that
entering
Odyssey
space,
was able to nail
Gucci,
because of the low latency of our audio feed for them.
Even Walmart.
And I mean, what's it like to work with creative people in this space? XR is, I think, so exciting. There's so many new ideas going on. But from your perspective, you see a lot of different people with a lot of ideas. Do they all land?
Well, I've worked in the creative industries for a long time. I come from film originally and feature film, and I'm used to. I was also a financier and a sales agent.
I'm gonna pause there. We have just a few minutes left. It looks like. Anybody have questions in the audience for Chris or me? And again, LinkedIn's the easiest, fastest way to get a hold of me because it's pretty much on my phone everywhere else. And hey, Mookie, great to see you too. Can't wait to see your talk. Definitely, we're looking for folks to give us feedback on the Unity SDK as well. So reach out and say, hey, I want to get on that beta. We can do that. Chris's company provides pretty much an out-of-the-box solution. It's really, one of the first experiences with a CMS that allows you, you know, drop in assets and animations and live video streams. It's pretty amazing. So